Welcome to another episode of Build Tough Banter. I'm Lexi.
And I'm Danny.
Today we're going to take a deep dive into our DIY packages. Danny, if you want to just start with a brief overview of what we mean by DIY package and what packages we have for our customers.
Yeah, I believe that our do-it-yourself packages are one of our most unique features that that we offer our customers. You know, we have the drive-through service that most building supplies do not have, but for the last 37 years, we have focused on these what we now call do-it-yourself packages, but it was before there were do-it-yourselfers. It was before HGTV. We've always tried to simplify the project for the homeowner, and these packages allow us to do so. Take, for instance, a deck package. We have 5 different styles of deck packages in 8 different sizes, and they're already fully priced out with a full material list. So for a homeowner can come in knowing they want a deck and knowing their budget and can make a decision based on what cost they're looking at on what size they need. If they've watched a couple of videos and want to try building it themselves, they don't also have to figure out how to figure the material list. We already have that prefigured, everything included, you know, from the building materials to the hardware all the way down to the blueprint. So it's our way of simplifying the buying process for a homeowner and a small contractor that kind of bounces around from one project to the next and making sure they have everything they need to complete the project within that, you know, set cost.
Right. I think the word simplifying it is the best way to put it. Let's say the deck package that you mentioned, for example, what comes with a deck package? What all in the material? Do they have to add extra? Is there some stuff missing, or what all is included in that package?
Yeah, so it's important because I think people can be misled at times with a package and it not include everything. Well, ours does. We want it to be where, you know, on a deck package, the leftovers go in a wheelbarrow and that's it. You know, we don't have a lot of extra. If you cut the board wrong, you're probably going to be a little short, but we figure everything you need. But it is post concrete up, you know, the floor joist, the decking boards, handrails, and a set of steps. And not only that, but we include the joist hangers and the nails to do so. So you can leave, you know, loaded up with one of these packages or have one delivered and know that everything you're getting completes the project. One nice thing about these packages is we have a variety of different options, from, you know, our standard package with wood decking, wood railing, vinyl rail package that has the wood decking but has the vinyl rail if that's what you're wanting to, you know, go with. And, you know, there's a lot of features about the vinyl rail that's nice. You never have to paint it once you install it. You know, it's done. You have to wash it off every now and then, and it's a little more pricey up front, but over the long run, you know, comes in handy. And you can pair that with composite decking, you know. So these packages serve as a beginning point, and then we can work with the customer and making sure that they get exactly what they're looking.
Right, so they can upgrade it in any way that they want by either vinyl rails, composite decking, larger steps. There's just, our staff will be able to work with them with any upgrade they need.
Yeah, one of the misconceptions is, you know, we price these packages. It's a, you know, 6x8 package might be, you know, $569. All that is every component that is needed in that package is compiled to form that price. So you don't have to buy the package to get that price. It's, you know, we can substitute, you know, items out, add items in. If someone's not wanting a handrail, you know, we can take the handrails off, and that cost comes off the package. If they have a higher, you know, they need more than our standard 4 steps, we upgrade to a 6 or 5 or 6 step and add those additional materials, and all they're doing is paying the additional. So you don't have to buy a set package. It's just a really good starting point, and we'll work and modify those packages as our customers see fit.
All right. One of the more custom packages I feel like we see a lot is the deck around an above ground pool. I feel like that's a very popular one. Everyone, especially this time of the year when they're getting ready for the beach season or the pool season, as shown right there, that's an awesome custom with a little level up on it. But that's one that I feel like we see a lot.
Well, what makes visiting a builder's discount unique and special in my mind is we don't have that as a package, but you come in, you're wanting a deck. We have so many inside sales, whether it be management guys working the sales counter that can custom figure anything you're wanting. So, you wouldn't necessarily be able to come in and minute one have a price, but in 20 minutes, letting our staff work up, you have to have the sizes of your pool and exactly, deliver the expectation of what you're wanting, and we will custom figure a material list to your needs, to your different sizes. It doesn't have to be a true package for us to give you a package deal and give you all the costs included in your project. And pools can be difficult, so and it's too hard to have a standard for a pool deck. But
sure.
You bring your sizes in, we'll get it figured up for you and have you a price, before you leave, and hopefully load it up as you go out the door.
Now, with the composite decking option, what are some of the benefits of taking that upgrade? Obviously, it's a little higher in price, adds to the package on that sense, but what benefits are there with the composite decking?
Yeah, there is an upfront cost difference, and it's less than it used to be. Composite decking used to be considerably more, and as they've gotten more efficient in manufacturing, and there's different lines of composite, but what we stock is the Decorators, has a lifetime warranty, fantastic warranty with a 25-year removal and replacement if there was to be a manufacturer defect.
And you don't see that often.
No, it's rare. Usually it's very prorated, but for the first 25 years, for them to stand behind removing it and replacing it at that day's cost is something that we've felt strongly about partnering with them. But it gives you that lasting look. It is nothing you have to go back with treated lumber, and treated will hold up fine, but it does need to be maintained. The sun's gonna, the UV exposure will eat at that, decking board. So you have to stain it or paint it every few years. So if you're wanting a maintenance-free solution, you can go with the composite decking. And then a lot of people will partner that with our vinyl rail. So once you build it, your upfront costs, you're all in, but then there's no additional staining, painting that comes, over the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Right. That sounds like a pretty good setup with the composite decking.
Yeah, and you can get different colors where with the decking, you can stain it, to meet those colors, but it's came a long ways in the composite world where you can, we stock a gray and a brown, and it's a variated color that looks very, very good, but then we can also special order anything that's available. So if a homeowner comes in with a vision, we can meet it.
Right. And what size boards do we stock in the Decorators?
So we stock a 12-foot, 16-foot, and 20-foot in the decking. And the idea behind that is if you need something small, if you need an 8-foot, which is a very popular, you take a 16, cut it in half. You need a 10, you can take a 20, cut it in half. But those three sizes will
cover the bases.
Yeah, and that's the bulk of of what is available in composite, and we have it in stock in those colors. We have color match screws for those, as well as one feature of the composite that I didn't mention is the hidden fastener.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of having the nails, and most people are going to screws now for wood decking, but instead of having those screws exposed and over time they back out, the composite has a hidden fastener system that is through the side of the board, locking it into the joist. So it's a really nice, clean finish. And again, lower maintenance, with replacing screws and whatnot as time goes on.
Yep. And then kind of diving into our next style of packaging, that would be our storage building packages. Let's break down all the different options that we have and what we may be having in the future. Yeah.
So, as you look here, that's a barn style with a little loft up top. That is not a sleeping loft. I guess it could be a playhouse loft, but for more so, it's for storage purposes. And we offer 6 different styles now that give the customer a price point option. That's our basic pine siding package. It's a 3/8 T111 that would need to be painted, stained, to protect it as well. with a shingle roof. But that is, you need a building. It's a really good building, but it doesn't offer a few of those features that that help reduce the cost on it. Moving up from that, we do have the treated T111 that, with it being treated, that siding does not have to be painted. Water will not rot it, although it will weather the look. So you can always pressure wash it to get it back clean. But, we do recommend throwing some type of stain to prevent the discoloration. But it comes with a metal roof and an overhang. So you have, your basic package, and then you can upgrade, as well as going into a vinyl siding. You can add windows, doors. Again, all of our packages are completely customizable. There's nothing we have that we can't modify to fit what you're looking.
Right.
That's the picture of that basic pine. That is a, just cost efficient building that does the job, and then and tries to save a homeowner as much money as possible going into it.
Right. And then with the metal roof that's included on that T111 building, what metal roofing options do we have available with the basic package, and then what can be upgraded as far as colors?
Yeah, so at a lot of the price point that is in that package, there's a variety of colors. And, when you're doing a storage building, almost really no matter the size, to upgrade to certain colors or differences is such a minimal part of that. Most people are trying to match their own existing building. Or their own home, I should say. And so whichever way the customer wants to go, there's a minimal cost difference from upgrading from one color to the next.
And there's a lot of color options to choose from.
Oh yeah, we have over 18 colors. So there's not a roof out there we can't match up to.
And if we have to special order for a specific color that they're trying to match, what does that turnaround time look like?
Oh, you're looking 2 to 3 days on metal, which is fantastic. It allows for someone, and this is for the weekend warrior, and we get that. So guy could come in on Friday afternoon, he's picking up the material, and even if he has to order that metal, he can take the rest of his materials, and honestly, by the time he's ready for it, that metal's came in. Or if someone allows himself enough time just to plan that a few days in advance, we can have it all ready. The metal's already purchased, sent to our store, and then we can have that material, for pickup or, delivery.
All right. So you're not having to waste a lot of time, which is key for any do-it-yourselfer.
Oh, yeah. We know that a lot of times on these homeowner type projects, they have some friends or father-in-law, things like that are coming into town to help. They might buy them some food and beverages for the weekend to help them do it. But it is it's a time sensitive deal, so that's why everything we have in these packages are stock items. There's no having to special order certain doors or lumber. We have it all in stock. You can drive right in, get loaded up, and take it home with you.
And is there a specific upgrade? Obviously, you can upgrade with windows and different doors. What would you say the most popular upgrade is?
The windows are that's a upgrade that allows some light in if someone's using it more workshopish. For a complete storage standpoint, that's not as important. But a roll-up door, that you could put on your gable end that rolls up into like a barrel door, is something that a lot of people will add. One thing, and I know we'll get into it, that we're looking forward to is our new packages are now going to include a front porch and a side porch. We've seen the storage building market, and again, we've been doing storage building packages since the early 90s. Is really modified into, some still use it as storage and others use it as like a utility flex space. So someone at the beach or at the lake or has a pond in their backyard, they like to use that porch area as a hangout and maybe a pool house type deal. So as things change, we're having to change as well, and coming out with these new 3 new packages that include the porch, we feel like will meet a lot of the customers and new customers' demands on what they're looking.
All right. And especially since COVID, you saw the storage building shift to where people will convert them into more of a finished product as home
Oh, yeah.
office, and that's been
Yeah.
a huge thing where, people like to separate now that there's a lot of work from home, the getting out of their typical home space to then have more of a separate office. I think that's a big shift that we've seen too.
Oh, you can, if you didn't have the space within your home is where you saw it at first. And then even some with the home offices like to just be separate, whether it be, their partner also working from home, having kids, throughout the day that are at home, or coming home early after school to kind of separate. But then you can take a vinyl storage building package, completely match up to your house, throw some nice windows, a glass door, let a lot of natural light in, throw some flooring insulation, and next thing you know, you have a really nice, 12 by 20, 16 by 20, workspace right in your backyard. So that was a big transition over the last 3 or 4 years, is kind of the more, not necessarily higher end, but, more finished, spaces that customers are looking.
Right. And what style building will we be looking at for the 3 new buildings other than just the porches added?
Yeah, so we're doing an A-frame with the porch off the front.
Mhm.
The barn style, that's the traditional, barn
Yeah.
barn style with a front porch and with a side porch, and then we're also
Yep.
right there. So we're gonna add a porch off the front side of that. So if you were to take that roll-up door would maybe transition to the back side of that building, and then you'd have the porch with a nice entry door coming into the building. But then we're also looking at the newer style with the windows across the top, the transom windows
Mhm.
with the shed roof, and it's all of it's part of keeping up with different trends and where we see and what customers are asking for. And by developing these pre-done packages, instead of having a custom figure when they come in, we already have that established cost blueprint plan and can just really simplify what they're wanting, what they're asking for, and go ahead and get them in and out, fast as possible.
All right. And two, with customers being able to see these 3 new options, if they don't know that our packages are customizable, then they'll know that we have more options and less limitations. If they're just looking from, picking up a brochure and seeing this, if they don't know that they can customize any, these 3 new items or packages will be a good way for drawing in new people to see what we have to offer.
Yeah, the biggest misconception is always them thinking they have to buy that exact package.
Mhm.
So a way around that is to show them those packages as options, and that's what we're doing, and I'm excited to add those to our storage building program.
Right. And then I guess we'll just keep diving into all of our
Yeah.
packages. Next up, we have the garages. Let's talk about those styles.
Yeah, so the garage packages have likely they've lost a little bit of their flavor over the years, and there's probably some different reasons for it. I think a lot of new homes are being built with attached garages now, than maybe that were in the 80s and 90s, and people were wanting to add a garage or add workshops, where a lot of new homes now have that 2-car garage. But these are stick-built garages that, are going to have your studs, 16 inches on center, plywood walls, plywood roof. You still get to modify as you see fit, whether it be, 2 doors on the side with an entry door. The previous slide had 2 doors on the gable end, shingles, vinyl siding, metal roofing, completely to match whatever you did on your home. You can do it with a garage package. A feature that is not available other than doing this route is the upstairs, the 1.5 story that provides a upstairs room that's anywhere from 8 to, as you see here, the 2 windows at the top. That room up top is probably 10 to 12 feet wide, and the length of that building with the interior set of steps. So makes for a good, man cave or
bonus room for the kids.
room. Yeah, exactly. Storage, whatever someone's needing, you can have the garage and downstairs, and you can finish it as nice as you want upstairs, or leave it just for additional storage. But the garage package is, they're still popular, but I believe they've somewhat dropped down to more just extra space because the homeowners themselves and new home builders are adding the built-in garages. But someone wanting a workshop, your kids turn 16 and you're needing more places to park vehicles, throwing that in the back is a nice way to, not just throw a cheap looking little metal, round tube carport up. It allows you to match your home and maybe meet your, neighborhood
HOA if you have it.
Yep. One thing that I know has led to us selling fewer garage packages, not that I'd say they're less popular, but there has been a movement of sort to the steel truss pole sheds, and I guess we can get into those next. But they've came on the scene in the last decade and really taken off the last 3 or 4 years with a much easier form of construction than building a stick-built garage. It allows you to start as a carport, as you see here, that might be their needs at the time, is going with a open carport, and at any point they can come right back in and add the necessary materials to close that carport in, and now you have a garage. So as the pole sheds have evolved and gotten more popular from open pole sheds to enclosed, the garages have kind of split some of their some of the projects have been split from what used to be garages. They're now buying pole sheds for garages.
Right. They're completely trending, whether it's, for equipment, or you're seeing the barn dominion movement now where people are, building them for a complete home, which we've had the opportunity to see customers do that, and watching those come to life from start to finish has been really cool as well. I feel like one question that we get a lot is because sometimes people look at the price of a pole shed and they're like, what all comes in this? Because the pricing is so good. Break down what comes in those, because sometimes it is hard to believe.
Yeah, so from our open pole shed, you're looking at the post, the concrete, the steel trusses, and what allows these buildings to be easier to construct and keep the cost down is you can, due to the steel trusses, you can span further. So with wood trusses, you're running every 2 feet. With these steel trusses, you can do 12 foot on center, down to 10 foot, just depending on how wide it is and the area code. But for the most part, our 30 foot and under pole sheds span 12 feet on center. So, and that's a big deal when you have the cost of the truss as well as the 2 6x6s for those. So not having to put them 4 foot on center or 2 foot on center, but being able to take that to a 12 foot really limits the additional cost and adds to the savings. But it includes the post, the concrete, the trusses, the 2x6 purlins sit into the cups of the truss, and then your metal directly screws to it. So it's almost like a puzzle. You do it 12 foot at a time. You do not have to be, and I'd say is the biggest benefit of these pole sheds is you do not have to be a general contractor to build any size of these packages. They just build in sections. So if you're building a 30 by 60, you do 30 by 12, and then you repeat that. It's the post, the trusses, the purlins, and then the metal, and then it's the next section, and it's never ending. You can do a 30 by 60 open pole shed. You can decide to close that in 2 years later. You save up some more money, and you can throw a lean-to, off one end that is an open shelter. You can then come off the other, throw another lean-to, and before you know it, you have the original 30 plus another 20 and another 20, and you're looking at a 70-foot wide building with some flex space in that. I know we have a package that shows one of those. Keep going. Yeah, right there. This has been really popular for a lot of individuals using it as a part of their business office as well. They'll have the big open A-frame that has a lot of storage inside. You can see a lean-to on the back that they can just park trailers and whatnot under, and then they create their little office space, right there tucked into it. So you're seeing that everywhere with a lot of people using it for businesses. It can be, somebody could create a barn dominium where they're living in part and then storing in the other half. But these pole sheds work really good for all types of, they're really flexible. You can do big open equipment sheds, hay sheds. You can turn them into horse barns. You can live in them and turn them into barn dominiums, or they can go back to what they were originally designed for, just as a carport.
Right. And there's a lot of upgrades, which you mentioned, whether it be the lean-tos. But looking at this picture right here, you see the header trusses used. Can you explain what a header truss is and how that could benefit, people with large equipment?
Yeah. So depending on your needs is where, that's where we really want to work and make sure we're delivering on what you're asking for as a homeowner or as a customer that's needing a pole shed. So if you're going to be pulling in through the wide opening and that's it, then we just make sure, that's wide enough. So if you're doing it to cover up your camper or an RV, as long as we have that width and height good, that works. But for someone that operates equipment, they might need to come in from the side. And by doing that, the trusses may only be 10 foot on center or 12 foot on center. Well, they offer a header truss that allows you to skip one of the posts and take that 10 foot on center to a 20 foot opening. And most equipment can fit through that 20 foot open. As you see here, not only could they go in from the open gable end, but with those header trusses, they could bring equipment in from the side for storage purposes as well. So, again, I know I've already said it, but the flexibility of what we can design and where it's a really endless project has really taken these pole sheds to another level. It's one of the best things that we offer and we do. We have transitioned from an angle iron steel truss. We wanted something, as they got popular, we wanted to look for the next step to offer some quality and a little extra quality to our consumer. So we went with the square tube trusses. Mm-hmm. They have a Z bracket that interlocks those trusses together that really makes it easier on the installation process. Once you get it up and they're secure, they're pretty similar with the angle iron and the square tube, but the ease of installation, you're talking spanning 40, 50 foot clear span, no post in the center. Those square tube offer some extra strength, and that Z bracket that I alluded to. If you've ever put up an angle iron and then you switch to this square tube with the Z bracket, it makes the world of difference at installation.
Right. And then one thing I thought about when we're talking about post, whether it's for the deck packages or the pole shed packages, we do have the post protectors. That's a good addition for the longevity. Can you hit on what the post protector is? I know we've had some previous videos on it, but I think it's a really cool technology. Yeah,
there's difference of beliefs in treated posts and how long they last in the ground. From starting point, you had the option of burying your post into the ground or pouring a concrete footer and then using a mounting bracket to sit the post onto the concrete. A lot of customers that choose to go that route, it costs more up front, but they don't want their posts sitting in the ground because of the decay over time. And that is a potential risk, and it's something that is real. As a way to combat that is we have joined with Post Protector, and it is a sleeve that goes over the post that protects it from being exposed directly to those microorganisms that do cause decay. So as the treatment wears out over time, that allows those microorganisms to start that decaying process, and through that post protector, it doesn't allow that point of contact. And, a lot of people worry about the water buildup within that. They have a cap that can go on top of that to prevent the water from running down the post, as well as, it does have weep holes, mm-hmm. as we've discussed, at the bottom to allow any extra moisture to kind of seep out of the bottom. And at the same time, that post is a ground contact treated post that does hold up to some moisture as well.
Right. Any other upgrades that you see on pole sheds that is popular, whether it be a skylight option or the header? I know with the header truss we hit on. Is there any other upgrades that we're missing that's a good option for people?
Well, our enclosed pole shed we've really upgraded it now to make it a fully enclosed with very finished project. It has metal roofing, metal sidewalls. You can take that and add a little wainscot around the bottom, a little two-tone type deal. But also we have a full metal soffit and fascia that's added on. So at the beginning of this stage, we did it in a way that we thought was cost effective, and it was a lesson to our customers, and they would want to add an extra piece of this or that. We've now added those into our package. So when you buy an enclosed pole shed, it really delivers on giving you a nice finished, metal garage or carport or workspace. But what you can do with these from a 12-foot eave height, taking them up to a 16-foot eave height, they're just, as I've said, it's never ending on where you can evolve your original pole shed and then migrate out. But you're still seeing these being used more high-end finished projects now than when we began this program.
Right. And that's another good thing about us having the steel trusses actually in stock, is whether, someone's needing a whole package or just picking up some trusses if they have leftover materials from another project, or just looking to add something on, that we have the materials in stock. And that's an option too, if you're not, looking to purchase an entire pole shed package.
Oh yeah. And what we firmly believe in having materials on hand ready to go, and everything we stock in every package, including these pole sheds, are sitting on our ground. We stock every size steel truss needed for our packages. So again, it can be somewhat of a last minute deal to come. You found some time to do it and come pick those materials up, or if you're coming back to add to it, we have that. We will have them on hand and ready to go. So there's minimal time wasted in waiting on products to come in. And just like we had spoke earlier with the metal, you can buy that pole shed package. We'll order the custom metal to the inch that you need it, and by the time you get the post in, and get it framed up, that metal is sent to our store that we can you can pick up or be delivered and keep your project moving.
And a lot of people you find are either pole shed people, or they look more for like the metal buildings, bolt up buildings as we call it. As you can see here, this is our steel bolt up package, which has a great delivery option as well. And dive into the differences and the benefits.
I think you almost have to differentiate the metal tube pole sheds that those end up in your neighbor's yard when a wind comes by, where our solid 6x6 post structures, they're in the ground, they're not going anywhere, offer a much more solid pole shed and gives you some longevity there that the cheaper tube metal does not. Now, expanding from the wood trusses, wood purlins, is the red iron steel buildings. And through Central States, who we've been a partner with for a long time on metal roofing, we've begun selling their metal bolt up buildings. They offer 4 different sizes with 2 different eave heights. It's a pre-engineered plan. So if you're wanting, needing inspection and whatnot, it already comes ready to go, and you can assemble those. They have a great, fantastic, assembly instruction and video,
step-by-step video.
All 46 steps, I believe, they have a video for it, to kind of walk a homeowner, do-it-yourselfer, first time, steel building erector, through the steps. So that's more in the smaller garage space. They also, for someone wanting any large metal, red iron steel structure, can customize it to, you see a large barn there, but from a church that we sold in Lumberton, it's 80 foot wide, 150 feet long. All the specs that they needed from eave height and whatnot, you can get those done. And through that, we can truly customize what anyone's looking and give them a nice finished steel building.
Right. And our website, we do have the sheet that you're referring to as a link on there, so customers can have access to it to fill out their information and have it prepared to go into the store, or of course can reach out with any questions. This package right here is from a Burlington customer actually, and you can tell the different ways of customizing it too, with having the multiple garage doors on different areas, but they look pretty sharp.
Yeah, the one thing different about the pre-engineered steel buildings is there's not as many modifications as you can make, but then from their customized option, I mean, you get to determine, eave height, bay width, bay height. I mean, you really pick out every single thing you're looking for. They engineer that for you. So there's no question when it comes to getting your permits and whatnot. All that's done, through Central States, and then they deliver the package out there to you.
How does the delivery work for these?
Yeah, so on the smaller bolt-up packages, which is, the more garage styles, they can come to our location and we can deliver them. The length metal in that is not, not no longer than 20 feet typically. But then on the custom buildings that are the larger, they deliver directly to the job site from the manufacturing facility.
That's nice. That really hits, a deeper dive into all of our packages, but also a good overview on what we have to offer. But what's on the sheet, it's not limited. As we've talked about, just everything can be customized, and we're here to work with the customers. And I think that's the biggest point of this as well, is that, we have these baselines, but we're here to help them achieve the project and the end goal that they want to see, whether it's in their backyard or a deck attached to their house. So I think that's what's really unique, is that we can, help customize everything with the customer.
Yeah, what's most important to me about our packages is our customers' understanding is it acts as a very good base point. It gives you a really good idea on what cost you're going to spend and what size that delivers on. And then once we get there, we can help someone who comes in with just on a budget, let them know what they can get for that. And then we'll customize and add any little details in to fit their home, fit their, their needs, and we can go from there. But it acts as a very good way to steer someone who's maybe knowledgeable and skilled enough to build it, but doesn't do it often enough to trust in coming up with a complete material list. We do that for you and help you throughout the process.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Build Tough Banter. We hope you learned a little bit more about all of our DIY packages. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.